The U.S. on the ground in Kansas City and Canada in a hostile environment down in Honduras. A World Cup qualifier preview next on The Daily. Hey everybody, happy Monday and welcome to another edition of The Daily here with Greg Lalas. I'm Nick Firchau. Another off weekend for MLS. That's okay, all eyes fixed on the international date on Tuesday night. We'll start with the U.S. national team on the road in Livestrong Sporting Park in Kansas City, Kansas against Guatemala. Big game, 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. You can catch a live chat on MLSsoccer.com. We've talked all about the injuries and the results needed for the U.S. national team. Now we're talking about style versus substance, Greg. We got some quotes here. You can read them up on the screen there today from Clint Dempsey. We're still trying to figure out what's going to work best for us. The most important thing is to put yourself in position to get out of the group and to qualify for the World Cup. That's when you're really going to be able to gauge what kind of style we play. What do you make of that? The U.S. national team will figure this out later.
Well, I mean, yes, they will figure it out later. The key right now is just to make sure that they qualify. And I think that Clint Dempsey, it's interesting that he's the guy who's coming out and saying this. He, I think, is the man who has to step up for the U.S. national team. He didn't really do much down in Antigua. He did not have the kind of game you expect from him. Everyone is looking to Dempsey to take over the game, the way kind of a Landon Donovan has been able to take over games in the past. He hasn't done it, at least not recently. We haven't seen him really take over a game. I think part of that is the style of play that's being played right now. The U.S. looked very slow against Antigua, and against Guatemala, it has to be faster. If you watch that Guatemala-Jamaica game last Friday, when they get the ball, they go. Marco Papa and the other guys, Carlos Ruiz up top, they go very quickly, they play it quickly, they get it forward. The U.S. needs to do the same thing. Well,
U.S. midfielder Michael Bradley also talking about style here for the U.S. national team. Quote, at the end of the day, when you get to the World Cup, nobody remembers how you got there. We'll see if the U.S. can take another step on the road to the World Cup in 2014. Again, Tuesday night against Guatemala, 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN from Livestrong Sporting Park. Catch a live chat on MLSsoccer.com. Well, Canada back in action on Tuesday night as well. A huge game, but a tough test. Probably tougher than the U.S. national team, certainly. This one down in Honduras, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Sportsnet up in Canada. We know all about the Canadians coming off that big win over Cuba on Friday night. They still need points against Honduras, and this is a tough place to play.
This is a very tough place to play. Andre Haenel coming out and talking about how he thinks this might be the toughest and most vicious place he's ever played. He didn't go so far as to say that they're going to be spit upon, but he did say it comes pretty close to that. So yeah, it's very hard in Honduras to get a point. That's all they need. 1 point for Canada, and they're through into the hex. And, you know, it's going to be tough, but this is it. Gut check time right now for Canada.
We remember the last time the Canadian national team went on the road like this. They went down to Panama, and they couldn't get a result. You remember all those Panamanian fans were outside their hotel all night.
Their hotel was tweeted out by the
absolutely.
Federation.
Stephen Hart's guys couldn't get the result in that one, although we'll see how they can do down in Honduras. Again, Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Sportsnet up in Canada. We'll talk about that game and the U.S. national team game, of course, on the latest edition of Extra Time Radio. That comes out on Monday on iTunes, Buzzsprout, and Stitcher Radio. And for all the latest coverage of the FIFA International Date and MLS coming back on Wednesday, log on to MLSsoccer.com.